Hi! So in this video, I will show you how you can optimize your book listings on Amazon so you actually get good sales. If you're unsure why your books are not selling, well, then this video is for you. If you're new to this channel, Cleo and I have sold over 240,000 books between both of our KDP accounts, and we have helped over 200,000 authors and book creators with our free tools on selfpublishingtitans.com. So if you're interested in learning how to actually successfully publish and sell books on Amazon, subscribe to our channel. Alright, so in today's video, I will review and analyze some of our Self-Publishing Titans users' books to see what they are doing right, to see what they can do to improve on their book listings and their books, and what is missing for them to have success on Amazon or to have even more success. If you would like me to review your book in future videos, I will leave a link down in the video description where you can submit your book on our website, and then I can also review your book. Alright, so let's get right into this video. So just really quick, if you want me to also review your book, just go to selfpublishingtitans.com/review and you can fill out the form right here and I will see your request. Alright, so let's look at the first user's request. So here we asked what kind of feedback he's most interested in, and he's saying the overall impression of his book listing as well as his pricing. And then this is his or her first book, and the main goal for this book is teaching and reaching teens to better manage their finances. So that's really cool. I really like that. And the next question asks to know more about the book. So the book is mainly about targeting teens, but it's also useful for adults. Yeah, so let's get right into it. So let's open up this book listing, and then here we are on the Amazon product page for this book. So we can see that this book has a bestseller rank of 115,000, which is already a good start. We can see that in 30-day time period, he makes about $167 to $250 of royalties, and that's from about 72 to 108 sales. So that's really cool. And we can see that this was only published March 17th of this year. So for this being the first book, I think this author is really on the right track and doing a great job. So let's look at this book cover here. So this book cover looks really well designed and quite clean. So that's really well done. I'm guessing the author either has really good design skills or even more likely hired someone professional to make this cover. My only critique, maybe to slightly improve this cover, even though it's already really good, is just making the font size the same. The one thing that just stuck out to me is that skills seem to be slightly larger than money. So that kind of got my attention a little bit. And then the only other thing I might want to try on this book here is changing the green yellowish color to maybe just a green, see if that looks better. But other than that, I think the cover is really well executed and really well done. So let's look at this title here. So it says Money Skills for Teens Decoded. So this title is short and sweet, but it does have some keywords and it does also tell the reader what the book is about. So I'm really a big fan of that strategy. And then the subtitle here is Easy Steps to Master How to Budget, Save, and Invest to Build Wealth and Avoid Debt, What They Don't Teach You in School. So the title and subtitle are actually quite good. What I also really like about the title and subtitle is that there's no really duplicate words. So that's also really important when you're publishing a book on Amazon. They don't really like if you duplicate words, but also for the reader, it's also not really that nice to have so many duplicate words. So that this is good. I also like that there's a bit of a mystery here with what they don't teach you in school. So I think overall that is a well-formatted title and subtitle. The only thing I would say that's maybe in future books, but this is total preference and totally arbitrary, but I prefer not having all caps in my books. So I'd rather just capitalize the first letters of the appropriate words and then trying that. But this also totally works and there's actually nothing wrong with that. So here looking at the different formatting of the book, we can see that they have a Kindle book, which is great at $2.99. They also have an audiobook, which I was quite surprised to see. So they're really well prepared with their entire listing. This is something that a lot of people don't usually do, but it is super worth it. They also have a hardcover version and paperback. And if you look in the form, they wanted to have feedback on the pricing. So the Kindle price I think is okay. I mean, it could even be slightly higher. I've done ebooks for $6.99, but I guess it's all about trial and error. Since this book is already doing kind of well and selling on a regular basis, I would only consider trying out a higher price for that and then seeing how the bestseller rank changes for the Kindle ebook, but also for the other ones, because that would be quite a big change. So the hardcover we can see is almost $24. So that's a little bit more on the pricey side, but that's also because Amazon KDP charges more for printing hardcover books. But one thing to try out is trying maybe $19.99 and then seeing how the ads convert on that and how the organic rankings do on that. But the paperback at $9.99, I think that's a good sweet spot. I would not change anything on that price. So that would be my feedback on that. All right, so let's continue with the description. Wow. So they've really done their homework. Looks like a really well put together description. So what I really pay attention to in descriptions is making sure that there are bullet points. I recommend having 5 bullet points, but if you have a few more than 5, that's also okay. I just wouldn't overdo it. So here we can see they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 is okay. Maybe that would be the max I would ever do. Personally, I don't think we usually do more than 6, and most of the time we tend to do 5 bullet points, but this is totally fine. I also like that they have a few key paragraphs, and I guess talking about the book, so building wealth and avoid debt before you graduate. So that's quite appealing. Money skills for teens decoded, no income yet, no problem. I also like that some of these beginnings are in bold letters, so they stand out a little bit more. And then the one thing I'll look for here is a call to action, and here we can see that. So scroll up, click add to cart, and start building a future you deserve today. So that's also great, excellent. So I don't really have a major critique. My only preference for our books is we usually tend to have just 1 paragraph before the bullet points, but this is totally fine. And then here looking at the print length, so we can see it's 140 pages. So it's a really well put together book. We can see that there's obviously a lot of information and value in there. So that's something that is really important, especially as competition continues to increase on Amazon. And then the book dimension we can see is 6x9. So that is a really popular book size for like a how-to kind of guidebook. So that's also a really good choice. I'm guessing they did a lot of research on the competitors. So moving right along here with our Titans Quick View Chrome extension from our own website. This is free right now. We can also see not only the bestseller rank and the list price, but we can also see the review count and when it was published. So this is quite a nice visual. So we can see that once again, this was published, well, we started picking it up in April, but we know it was published March 17th. And we can see that the purple graph, which is the bestseller rank, has steadily been improving. So the lower it goes, the better it is, and the more sales they're getting. And we can also see that they're steadily getting more and more reviews, which is really good. And obviously having 80 reviews this early on means that they're doing some kind of ARC review program. So that's also a good strategy that one can use. I used to always say that reviews are not that important, and I still kind of feel like that. But obviously as competition increases more and more, if one can get reviews early on, it obviously can only help, at least if those reviews are good. All right, so moving right along to the A+ content. This looks really clean to me. Once again, I just want to comment on the neon green yellow. I would just try maybe a yellow to see if that looks better. And if it doesn't, then leaving that, but maybe just changing that. But here, I like the few bullet points here. It looks very clean. I think the stock images that are used for this are also fine. Looks good. And then these 3 columns are also well put together. So I think this is good. So overall, I wouldn't have any other critique on that. And then you can see they also have a profile image for Ryan Zane. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And then a good description about the author. So this would be my feedback on this book. Let's go over to the next book. So this would be my feedback on this book. I think overall, for this being Ryan's first book, I think he's done an excellent job. I'm actually quite impressed. There's only a few points I think that could be improved upon. But otherwise, I would just say continue publishing books, maybe create a series on this, on other money or investing or budgeting kind of topics, and then really building a brand around this topic and this kind of niche. And then I think you'll do really well, especially having an audiobook, a hardcover, paperback, and Kindle book. So I think this is really well packaged. So good job. And then let's go on to the next book. All right, so here's the next submission we have on our website for a book review. So let's take a look at that. All right, and then here the person wanted me to look at their A+ content, cover design, and overall impression. This is also their first book, so that's really exciting. So my goal was to get my first book out and learn how to sell books on Amazon for extra income. This is a great goal. And you know, the first book is always the hardest, and once you publish more and more books, it only gets easier and better from there. But always keep in mind that Amazon KDP really is a long game, and it's not like the get rich quick thing. So this book is simply a cute and cuddly coloring book for kids and adults to help one unwind, allowing for people of all all ages to be creative. Yeah, so let's take a look. So the cover, you can see, is, I guess, inspired by Coco Wayo a little bit. It seems like it has that kind of graphic to it. I would say that the background is quite cute, but the way the text is compositioned with this cover, I'm not the biggest fan of. It kind of just blends in and has no depth or dimension to it. So I would try to improve the text on this cover, just how it's standing out and popping. And then I think that would make a good difference. And then here on the bottom, it says coloring book, but that's usually the place where you would put like the brand name or author name or pen name. So that's something I would also consider changing. So this would be my feedback on the cover. We can also take a look at the back here. So I do like that you have 3 examples of the coloring pages. So that's really, really great. And I think it's also good that one can say how many pages or illustrations there are. So that's also really good. So the title is Fuzzy Wuzzy Garden Friends. So it sounds kind of cute. And then it says cute and cozy coloring book for kids and adults. Okay, so there's a couple of red flags here. One is that at first you capitalized all the words, but then you stopped capitalizing the other words. So that looks a bit inconsistent and not really too professional. So I would definitely change that for all the future books. Just having consistency and being grammatically correct is really important, and it will just look a bit nicer. But to continue now, so cute and cozy coloring book for kids, that would be fine, but you're targeting kids and adults. So targeting kids and adults in one book is not really good because it's kind of confusing the Amazon algorithm. Like, is it for kids or is it for adults? But also, I've also seen where the Amazon review team will reject books because it's potentially misleading, because the kids and adults have very different needs potentially. So if you do want to target kids and adults, it's best not putting anything like that in here and then just calling it a cute and cozy coloring book. And then it's a little bit open-ended of who it's for. But specifically saying it's for both, that's not really the best thing. And if you do want to target an age group, which usually can be a good thing, I would just choose one or the other, and then you can create a series or just other books with the same pen name. And then in one book you can target kids, the other one you can target teens, the other one you can target adults or seniors or women or men, whatever. So there's many different possibilities. All right, so moving along here, we can see that you're charging $7.99. I guess $7.99 is quite a popular price, especially because Coco Wayo is doing $7.99. But with the recent price changes and royalty changes on Amazon, $7.99 is obviously giving you a lot less royalties now. So you'll have to experiment to see how that goes. But obviously, if you're wanting to do Amazon ads, you might need a little bit more profit than that. So I would suggest trying going up to a higher price, at least in the future. Maybe during the launch period, you can have a lower price. Maybe during the launch period, you can even go lower just to try and get higher sales velocity. But other than that, I think this could be fine too if you get organic sales. All right, so let's look at the description here. So unwind and relax with fuzzy, cozy, coloring fun. So I would probably change the first sentence here with something maybe a bit more informative or a bit more exciting. This just almost feels a bit repetitive with the title. Enter a world of creative relaxation, coloring the cuddly garden friends for fun. And then here, 30 unique fun and cozy illustrations for creative relaxation. Each book is 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. I guess I don't know what each book means because I don't see a series here. So I would just maybe say that this book is 8.5 by 8.5. And then printed on premium paper. I don't know if I would say premium paper because Amazon KDP prints on kind of like regular paper. And some people even complain about the paper quality for coloring books. The quality is fine, but I don't know if I would consider it premium paper. I would get rid of that because if someone is expecting premium paper and then it's more like regular paper, then you could also get a bad review on it. So I would just change that. With Amazon KDP, it's really important to only make claims that are fully true and not anything overhyped or anything possibly not true, because that can just get you into trouble. Glossy cover, so that's fine, that's good. You might also want to try out the matte cover. Sometimes I actually prefer the way that looks and feels, but that's totally a preference. Perfect for children and adults. So once again, I wouldn't target kids and adults in the same kind of book. All right, so we can see that it has 63 pages. So I guess that's standard for coloring book. You always want to have a blank page in between, so there's no bleed through onto the next page. So good job for having empty pages in between. And then 8.5 by 8.5 is a good size for coloring books. The only other size you could try is 8.5 by 11, but either one is totally fine. So we can see here that there's no bestseller rank yet, but you did only publish it recently. So with recently published books, it sometimes can take time for Amazon to rank a book. So just because it's not selling right away doesn't mean it will never sell. So just keep the hopes up. Yeah, and then the only other thing I can see here is missing is the author profile. So that's something you can add on. And then obviously there's also no A+ content. Back in the day, A+ content was not as important, but as the competition increases on Amazon, I would definitely start suggesting doing A+ content, but the focus on A+ content would be creating high quality images and text, because if your A+ content is bad, it can also drive sales away. But obviously, if you create high quality A+ content, it can only help you get more sales. And for a coloring book, for example, I would have A+ content that shows more of the coloring pages that they can expect to color in, just to showcase the book more, because there's no look inside feature for this book. So that's one place you can have look inside kind of vibes with the A+ content. All right, so I hope that this is helpful and useful. And let's go on to the next book. All right, so looking at the next review request here, we can see that they want feedback on a cover design, the overall impression, pricing, A+ content. And they have published multiple books before, so that's good. And then it says this is a first volume in a 10-volume set. Goal is to get readers to embark on a journey to refine their Sudoku skills. That's really cool. Cleo and I love Sudoku books, but hard to extreme level puzzles. So that's great, really good. So this book is about serious Sudoku puzzle lovers. So aimed at experienced users. Great. All right, so let's take a look here and see what we have. All right, so we can see that this book is already selling. It has a bestseller rank of 81,000 currently. It was published only in May 2025, so it's a new book. All right, so we can see that the cover is a bit non-traditional to usual Sudoku books. Usually you have I guess a quite colorful cover, and then usually displaying a Sudoku image to show the difficulty level the user might be getting. But this is an interesting concept. I like that this has a samurai person on it, because it's a samurai Sudoku book. So that's cool. I guess one creative thought I kind of had now is maybe having AI create an image of a samurai person holding a Sudoku book, or just editing it yourself if you can. Maybe that's an interesting idea. But otherwise, the text stands out. The puzzle path begins, 300 hard puzzles for samurai focus. So that's also fine. For experts only. So that's also good. So you know it's for the right audience. And then looking at the title here, Hard Level Sudoku Volume 1. I guess for future books, I would not put Volume 1 into the actual title of the book. If needed, that could be at the end of the subtitle. That's where we have done it in the past. But also, if you're planning on doing 10 books, then maybe you can also have a series. But either way, definitely I would put Volume 2 for future books at the end of the subtitle. But continuing here, it says, think you've mastered Sudoku. 300 hard puzzles await. I'm not too sure about having a question in the subtitle, but I guess we'll have to see how that goes. I've not really seen that too often. But I do like the 300 hard puzzles. So it's just adding onto some more keywords and also showing how many it is. I guess we have done quite a lot of Sudoku as well, and usually we tend to say how many earlier on. So, but that's also just a preference point. And it says perfect gift for a puzzle master. So Amazon doesn't like the word gift in the title or subtitle. So for future books, I would definitely avoid having that keyword in your title, because they might even remove it if they get a little bit more strict on these rules. But the word gift is definitely not wanted in titles. So overall, I think the title is okay. I think it can just be improved slightly with better sequence of keywords and words in general. I just want to check one thing quickly. So if we type in hard Sudoku and then use the Titans Pro Chrome extension, we can see all of the keywords related to hard Sudoku. If we just sort by the highest search volume, we can see that spiral bound is the highest, but obviously that's not spiral bound, but hard Sudoku puzzle books, hard Sudoku books large print. So obviously if you're doing large print, you can only put up to 2 per page for at least the problems. But I'm just thinking for your title in the future, maybe you want to target hard Sudoku puzzle books for the next one. We can see that this has an opportunity of 9 and a domain score of 8. The competition search results is quite low and the search volume is really high. So you might get even better results than this kind of title. And since I'm quite familiar with Sudoku books, 300 Sudokus, I would suggest that you also start increasing the volume of the Sudoku puzzles. So here we can see you have 4 on a page, which is fine. You could even consider doing 6 per page. That also fits quite well, and there are no complaints with that. And it's actually hardly any smaller because you can fill it up from the very top of the page to the very bottom. So they can almost be exactly the same size, but you can get 30% more puzzles in there. Yeah, so these days, having 1,000 Sudoku puzzles is quite good, but I would recommend having at least 600. So that's something you can also try out in the future, is creating ones with 1,000. Then it's also a bit harder for other people to compete against you. Because let's say, for example, someone publishes the same niche, the same keywords as you, but they have 1,000 and you have 300. You'll have potentially a harder time competing against them. So that is just one thing I would recommend. Looking at the back cover here, so it says the puzzle does not fear speed, it respects precision. So that's also fine. I would suggest that you have maybe at least two examples of what the hard Sudoku level looks like. So the potential reader can see if it's hard enough or too hard, and hopefully this helps you get even more sales. Looking at the price, $11.99, I think that price is fine. I mean, I guess slightly higher than other books, but I think trying to be bold with the price is always good. It's always better to be at the higher ends than trying to race rock bottom. And obviously, if you can pull off getting good sales at almost $12, you'll have good royalties. And we can see here that you're getting some sales, but your royalties are already pretty good because you have a high book price. So that's always nice to see. I can see here that you have 5 bullet points, which is exactly what I recommend. So good job on that. And then just a short description at the top and then more on the bottom. And I can see here that you also have a call to action, which is good. So grab your copy. So no complaints on that. I can see that your book is 6x9, so I guess that kind of confuses me because it's not quite pocketbook size, but I guess it is a bit easier to carry. But usually Sudoku books are 8.5x11. So if you just look at some competitors quickly, you can see that this competitor is 8.5x11. And let's see what this guy has, this person, so also 8.5x11. So that would be one critique also. I guess it's interesting to see you doing a smaller size book, so maybe there's something to it. If you do have trouble with getting sales, in the long term, I would just recommend trying larger books. But now I'm also questioning this because this kind of looked to me like an 8.5x11 size. So if you do have 4 puzzles on a 6x9 book, then that's actually quite small, which is interesting. I'm curious if that would lead to bad reviews for it being too small. And just to put that into perspective, so this here is my book, which is also 6.5x11, but putting 4 Sudokus on there is rather small. I guess it could be fine for someone with good eyesight or just a person who doesn't want large puzzles. But now it also makes sense to me why you only have 300 puzzles, because you're limited in space. So I guess the one advantage for having large books is that you can put more puzzles in it. Okay, so let's look at the A+ content. So this is, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful image, really well put together. So whoever did this, excellent job. I guess you could add a comma in the 3000s, minor critique, but otherwise really well put together. You have some text here. Yeah, here you have the comma, so that's good. So just put a comma here too, just so it's consistent. But otherwise, I love the design and the style and the samurai concept behind all of that. So that's really cool. And then what is that? Watermark art, elements unique to each book. Interesting concept, I guess, adding some visuals to it. That's also a creative idea that I haven't really seen with Sudoku books, so that's cool. And it says no resets, no filler, one continuous training path, continuous puzzle numbering across volumes. Okay, that's also a cool idea. Every puzzle is a blade to sharpen. So I guess you've kind of made it fun and creative, and I'm actually a big fan of that. No reviews yet, but we do have the author, about the author section here. So that's good. This just looks a little bit short, so maybe you can beef that up. Maybe you can add some more to this section, but otherwise that's great. And I guess you're going the old-fashioned organic way with getting reviews. I'm sure at these sales ranges, you'll start getting reviews very soon. So I would say overall, you've done a great job. My only points would be just on the title that I mentioned earlier. And if these books don't do well in the long term, I would say continue with your beautiful creative ideas, but try books 8.5 by 11 and then adding more puzzles in it. All right, so these will be the first 3 reviews. I hope you found that helpful. And if you do, please like this video, comment on the video, show support, and then subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.